What's going on, everyone? I'm in the fantasy draft franchise that I had done. I'm just gonna go through uh, different things that after a fantasy draft that you might want to look at. Free agency has pretty much been wiped out. There are no free agents. Um, you're looking at 68s and then random fullbacks and kickers that are serviceable. I am just gonna sign Giovanni Bernard. Maybe I find a spot for him. Maybe I find a team that likes him. I don't really expect to, but maybe. Who knows? Um, So then from there, I'm going to go to Trade Center. Something else is that if you see my cap room, it's $87 million. Doing a manual trade, Bears have 90. Pretty much everyone is going to be over $80 million worth of with a cap space. So no team is tight on salary cap. You don't have to worry about um, maybe trading away players or guys having dead money on the books or something like that. I'm also going to go over the market here because there's pretty much no market for players. If I'm just spamming this, normally there would be different guys that would go green or something like that. The Redskins like McKinnon and Bernard. That's, maybe that's something I can pursue. The Bears like both of them. So I mean, this is really where you're like, man, there's nothing. I mean, there are flat out teams that are like, we don't really need. Teams don't have needs, and if they do have needs, they're not going to overspend or overpay for them. And I think that makes it a little bit harder. Where's my fullback that I'm going to get rid of? I did take the liberty of moving Demetrius Harris from tight end to fullback. Again, I drafted an 81 fullback. I knew what I was doing. He's young. He's 25. So now I'm just looking for a team. Bengals. Bears. Bears could be a possible trade partner. I'm just looking. Redskins? Redskins could be a trade partner. I already know that I can trade for players on the Rams. I'm just going to... biggest need post-draft was corner. And they have no one. Okay, so back out of that. And if I make my way back around to the Bears, I'll see who they have. They have a need at corner, which means I'm assuming they don't have anyone. They have Richard Sherman, Jonathan Joseph, and Trey Flowers. Well, is that Jonathan Joseph? Yep. Trey Flowers is young. Josh Jackson would not be bad. Really wouldn't. Because he could, well, no, oh, yeah, Trey Flowers out there. I would look at Trey Flowers there. Pretty much if you're at their third corner, they're 1-star. Like, the teams will just give you those guys. Deion Jordan. Bum. God, waste of a draft pick. Shaquem Griffin. There's not really anyone that I would like to get a dominant pass rusher, so I mean D Ford. Yeah, I know. Okay. D Ford would be serviceable. I don't see this going through. It would probably take some other work. Yeah, I'm not pulling that off. Not for a 5-star. Okay, so then I'm just gonna go to the Rams where I know I can get what I need. Giovanni Bernard gets pulled out, and then where's Arcega? Arcega Whiteside ends up going in, and let's see if memory serves. It was. I'm gonna take Gary and Conley, and I realized I could take other players. Kendall Sheffield. Ew. Well, you can't teach speed. And I'm asking for a first-round draft pick. The first-round draft pick I'll probably have to weasel away. Yep. But the reason I'm taking 2 corners is that if I just remove Arcega Whiteside for a second, essentially what I'm doing is I'm trying to create a need at cornerback, and 1, 2. Artie Burns and Nickerson are going to go over there. Maybe Ryan Lewis. Pretty much any of my bottom 4 corners are going to end up going over there. Because that's what you have to do after a fantasy draft. You essentially have to create needs. Because the CPU doesn't think it has roster needs. It identifies needs, but it doesn't put a high priority on them. Yeah, so a 3rd-round draft pick will be what I end up getting. Well, no, I'll just take a 3rd. I'm not overly invested in this. Okay, so boom. So now immediately after that trade, I then have to go back to the Rams, who should have a need at cornerback now, because they only have, because their roster has like 3. Yeah. So 4. So then what I'm going to do, I'm then going to go to my corners. 1, 2, 3. So I got him. Oh, it didn't process yet. Okay. Let it do its autosave thing. Let everything repopulate. And I go back to the Rams. Maybe their needs are updated, maybe not. But at the end of the day, I'm going to hopefully be able to take... These top 3 guys aren't getting touched. Sheffield. Boom, boom, boom. Really? None of these guys have value. Okay. Because there's no cornerback market. There should be value there. These guys are all going to get cut anyway. Except for Nickerson. He'll probably be my punt returner. My kick and punt returner. Okay. So, I still have... I've addressed corner then. I still have Giovanni Bernard. I still have draft picks that I can utilize. So then I'm going to look at Redskins. Might have a pass rusher I can try to get my hands on. And Bears. And just going back to why I feel like I need a pass rusher, my offensive line is set. Rashawn Gary's there. I've got my D-tackle set. If I could get a legitimate pass rusher other than Gary, that would be pretty cool. Another middle linebacker would be nice, but it's not necessarily a necessity. Everything else is really shaped out nicely for this draft. Josh Jones is down there at a 61. I could move him to one of my outside linebacker spots, probably. Let me see if I can find a home for him. Probably not. Excuse me? Colts have him at green. Okay. And the Saints have him at green. Okay, I guess Forsyth Alukun is value. I didn't foresee that. I didn't do due diligence and research with him. Haha, Clinton Dix, Marcus Gilchrist. 198, yeah, no. 211, okay, maybe. Darnell Savage. Oh, yeah, I know. Why does it tell me that? Do I have did I leave tutorials on or something? Okay, so now I'm gonna look at my linebackers. Aaron Lynch wouldn't be bad. Fred Warner would be awesome, but that's not gonna happen. Kyle Van Noy. Not with 84 speed. I don't like that. Leonard Williams wouldn't be horrible. Eric Armstead, if I remember, he's a little bit on the slow side. Yep, so they're running a 3-4 essentially. So I'm going to keep going. Maybe I can get draft picks for him. That might help. And I would imagine I'm going to run into the same difficulty here. Yeah, oh, I don't need linemen. Duh. Jordan and T. Sizzle. Okay. Everson Griffin. So they've got old... Wow.
This player has his own ability.
Yeah, I know. I know. That's why I'm looking at him. If he didn't, I wouldn't look at him. 92, which means that the run stop. Edge threat and unstoppable force. Alright. I don't expect this to go through, but yeah. Okay. They're interested, but just not that interested. Okay, that's fair. Andy Dalton's our quarterback. Eli Manning. Wow. What a fall from grace. Honestly, I might not get a edge rusher. Okay, let me just leave him alone. And if I have to move him, then I will. But, I'm going to get rid of Giovanni Bernard. I don't really use 3 running backs. I would rotate between 2 or sign someone out of free agency. Bears. It's like the Bears and the Redskins, if memory serves. D Ford in a perfect world would be the guy that I go after. Let me just see what it would take for me to get D Ford. I have an idea. Nope. It's gonna come down to picks. first and a second in Giovanni Bernard. Oh yeah, we're not even moving it. Okay. This is essentially trading after a fantasy draft. It's not exactly the most enjoyable experience. Oh, no, no, no. Put him back. Put him back. Just because teams don't have needs. There's not a team that's willing to overpay or yeah, I wouldn't be able to get almost any of these guys. Well, Tim Williams I could, but that's not really. I have Rashawn Gary. Like honestly with Rashawn Gary, if I'm using him or if I'm putting him as my outside, if I'm running that sub nickel package, you'd be fine with that team. Maybe it's an age thing. Oh, okay, yeah, it was definitely an age thing because he's yellow across the board. Well, what you gonna do? Anyway, that was really all I wanted to showcase was that the CPU doesn't really have needs and they're not willing to go out and give you players. Just going over the roster before I delete this, me personally, what I would try to do is get a hidden dev trait quarterback. I ended up with Dwayne Haskins. Hidden dev trait running back Devin Singletary. I would take him simply because while his speed isn't that great, it's good enough, and his carrying and his catching is pretty solid. Wide receivers, I could have done a little bit better, but I have hidden dev trait with Mecole Hardman, so I get someone that is just raw speed. Noah Fant, hidden dev trait at the tight end. I've got 4 dudes on offense that are hidden dev trait. My O-line is stacked. I have a superstar there, so there, but rookie there with Dalton Risner. Dalton Risner will probably, if I had to do this, it would end up being my starter. Lindsey would be trade bait at some point. Brandon Brooks is a superstar. Lane Johnson is a superstar. So 3 of my 5 offensive linemen are superstars, and my 5th one, or one of my 5th one, is an 88. So I'm not. You're not going to beat me. You're not going to beat me when I go to run and pound the ball. John Simon is an 80. Rashawn Gary, really just the speed that he would have coming off the edge for my nickel subset. I think he's also a hidden dev trait. Oh no, he's not. He's normal. Damn. That's unfortunate. But just the speed that I would have coming off the edge with him would make him a good defensive end. He's listed as an outside linebacker, but I would definitely put him at the end. Having Sue and Atkins. Atkins is the next factor. Sue is a star. Having those 2 dudes in the middle for my nickel, I probably wouldn't be able to run a lot of 3-4 out of this. It would probably be a lot of nickel packages. Outside linebackers. Cashman. Dang. Did I have a hidden dev trait? I had Deion Jones in the middle. I can user him. I would probably, for sub packages, have it be Cashman and Deion Jones. Just because even when I go to nickel, I've got Cashman rushing. That's not horrible. Block shed is at 57. Cashman is at 72. Yeah, Cashman would be my sub package linebacker. Corners stacked. Boom. Is he? There we go. Okay, so he's my hidden dev trait. Kendall Sheffield is normal. So I've got 2 rookies that could compete for D-Roy. Well, 3 if you include Cashman if he starts getting sacks. DeMonte Casey, I thought I was going to have to slide to strong safety to make up for me moving Jones down. I'm not. I'm just going to leave him there, or I would just leave him there. Coverage could be a little bit better, but at the end of the day, he has enough man coverage that when I go cover 0, he would be able to do it. Aldrich Rosas, kicking power is a 95. I mean, oh, I don't have a punter on my team. Huh. How did I make it through? Okay. But that's pretty much it. That's all for this video. I mean, if you want to do a fantasy draft in Madden 21, I would expect pretty much the same thing. You're going to be able to get great players and put together however you want it, but getting players after the fact and being able to trade for them is going to be a little bit difficult. Also, I've done fantasy leagues in the past, fantasy franchises, and it takes about 2 years for teams to start running into salary cap issues because the free agent market, after year 1, there's not a free agent market. There isn't. Teams because you have the salary cap space, teams are able to Um, Teams are pretty much able to keep and re-sign their players, so there's not a the CPU isn't salivating over a 69 quarterback or whatever. You'll see people get random contracts that they don't actually deserve, but it's you as the user, or if you're doing a fantasy franchise with multiple users, there's no need to overpay. Just keep your players. Keep your players for year 1, year 2, or 3, 4, etc. Then you can get into free agent markets. Then teams will trade and do whatever. Personally, I would just look to consolidate and build draft picks. Build through the draft and add through the draft, because I'm sitting at an 85 offense and 81 defense. The defense is going to play well above that, and the offense is going to play well above that. Once people start developing, it's easy. But that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. If you haven't watched any of my Madden franchise video where I take the Dolphins and I pretty much three-peat Super Bowls with them, just tune in and watch. Give it a watch. Give it a listen. I usually talk about anything from Madden 21 to current sports. Touch on COVID. Touch on whatever. Thank you for your time.